Hey everybody, it's the Happy Camper, and today we're talking about the LG UQ7590. It's an 86-inch 4K display. Let's get it started. We purchased this because it used to be 1,800 bucks. It went down, down, down. It was 1,200 bucks and we were gonna buy it. We purchased it for $1,800 off Amazon because they had free shipping, whereas B&H Photo, they would have charged shipping. And then the price went down to $999. I contacted Amazon support or LG. I don't remember if I contacted the seller or Amazon, but I got a hold of somebody through the Amazon app and I just let them know that if I can't get the difference back, we're gonna have to return it and then buy it for the lower price. They gave the difference, which is awesome. So now we got this unit for 999 bucks. I live in that realm of lowest priced, highest quality, so it's never gonna be bleeding edge, top of the line stuff. This is probably a generation or two old, but once you hear the specifications on this unit, personally, I'm excited. The TV's amazing, the clarity's great. So let's go through some of the specifications. Some of the basic stuff, it's 86-inch diagonal, and that makes it 76 inches left to right. I haven't measured the vertical height, but take your measurements to ensure it's gonna fit in your space. It is a pretty big TV. We happen to have a pretty large living room, and so for us, it's a good fit. The unit's a 4K display, that's 3840 by 2160 resolution. That is 4 times the resolution of 1080p, and it's all the resolution you're gonna need for anything that you wanna do. In fact, if your TV's too small, you can't really appreciate 4K unless you're sitting really close up to it. So I really am careful about display resolutions. If you got a 32-inch TV or a 32-inch monitor, you're gonna be sitting 4 or 5 feet away from it. You're not gonna notice the difference between that and a 1080p display. Keep in mind, 3860 by 2140, that's the resolution at the theaters. It looks good, and that's a 300+ inch screen. This is an 86-inch screen, and only because we sit that much closer to it, we can appreciate the 4K resolution. But if you get smaller or you're sitting farther away, there's no real need for that extra resolution. One of the reasons I purchased this display over one of the other low price models is because it has 120 hertz refresh rate, so it could do 120 frames per second. That's really only useful for gaming. I don't know of any movies or TV shows that have 120 frames per second. Even with gaming, you're gonna have to have a pretty high powered machine that can handle that. I don't know of any consoles that really do that, so PC gaming is where it's gonna come into play. Now there's another benefit for 120 hertz, and that is using it as a monitor versus to watch TV. And so it's a very minute difference, but if you're a 3D modeler or if you're a graphic designer or something like that, the extra hertz does matter. It makes a difference when creating content. For $999, this comes with 3 HDMI ports. 2 of them are 2.1, which is awesome, and 1 of them is 2.0, which is adequate. All 3 HDMI ports can do 4K, but only the 2.1 ports can do all the way up to 120 hertz. So keep that in mind if you're hooking up something that's gonna have the ability to do the faster frame rates. You gotta make sure and use the right HDMI port. It comes with 1 Toslink optical port for digital audio. I've never used anything like that. In fact, our speakers are really old. I got them at a thrift store for 40 bucks and they work great. And then I bought a small amplifier for $60, and that has Bluetooth. So consequently, this TV has Bluetooth 5.1, which is awesome. It's the latest generation of Bluetooth. It also has eARC audio return channel. It has audio return channel. I don't know what that is. It comes with Wi-Fi 5, 802.11 AC. That's very fast Wi-Fi. It's fast enough to stream 4K content. You just gotta make sure that at your home you have fast enough wireless internet to accommodate it. It does come with an Ethernet port and an RC232C via 1/8 3.5mm port. Now, that 3.5mm port looks like a headphone jack, and I was like, oh cool, my amplifier has 1/8 inch cable. I'll plug it in. Ton of feedback through these speakers. It was going, definitely that The 3.5 millimeter port on the back of the TV is not for audio. I can attest to that, I tried it. It says it comes with a virtual assistant, it works with Alexa, AirPlay, and the Google Assistant. I so far have not succeeded in hooking up to my Google Home speaker system. It just keeps saying no device found and to try again later. The setup process was a lot more involved than I thought. Adding the little legs is really simple. Getting it out of the box is also not that much work. But turning on the device, getting it onto Wi-Fi and registering it through LG, and then registering it for the Google app, and then getting it all updated and getting all the apps on there that you want and getting set up how you want. That takes a little bit of time. I didn't expect that. Once it's all set up, you're supposed to be able to add the TV to Google Home so you can control it from the speakers, but I haven't succeeded at it. Once I do succeed at getting this TV hooked up to the Google smart speaker, it'll be nice because I'll be able to turn up the volume or turn off the TV or on from the smart speaker. So at the beginning, expect to be doing updates all the time. Sometimes the updates take a few minutes. Usually you could watch content while it's downloading the update, but once the update installs, you have to restart the TV, sometimes more than once. And then also when you're launching the apps like Hulu or Netflix for the first time, it sometimes wants to update that app as well. So just keep that in mind. It takes a little bit of patience and time to get the thing set up and fully ready to use. The remote doesn't have a microphone. I'm really bummed about that because I got used to my Roku where I can push the button and talk. The LG TV will hook up to the LG app on my Android smartphone and iPhones as well. And that does have a microphone. And it's okay. I have to activate the microphone, wait for it to propagate, and then I can talk. And even then, sometimes it's not that accurate. The virtual assistant's voice is very robotic. It definitely sounds a few generations old on that, but I can understand the voice and it hasn't been a problem so far. Power consumption is the next section here. And it amazes me. It's 167 watts and it's a half a watt standby. And it says here that there's an annual estimated energy cost of $37. I can't imagine that. So this, we watch probably more TV than the average. So I would expect mine to be actually a little bit more than double. But even then, only $80 a year in energy costs to run this huge TV. That's pretty impressive. Here we go with the dimensions. 75.9 across. I measured 76 inches, so I rounded up. And then you got 45.9 inches vertical and 14.2 inches thick, I'm assuming because of the feet. Because the actual TV I gauged to be around 3 inches thick, which is pretty impressive. For $999 to get a TV that's that thin. One thing that is a little bit tough is the TV is just under 100 pounds without the feet. Over 100 pounds with the feet. And the issue with that is if you're gonna wall mount it, make sure you really get those studs and get a strong mount because 100 pounds, that's a lot of weight to put on a wall. Let's talk about the audio. The reason I got these speakers and hooked them up right away is because I read in the specifications that the speakers are only 20 watts. 20 watts is real paltry. That's not good audio, at least not very big audio. I was surprised when I got the TV hooked up before I hooked up the big speakers here, or the bigger speakers here. The audio was actually very loud. The quality is a little tinny. It's more on the high end. The mids are and the lows are non-existent. So that's where the 20 watts suffers. They are high quality speakers, but you're just not getting that bass, especially when you're watching movies and stuff. So I brought these speakers in. These, the midtones are great. The lows are, but they're definitely better than the TV speakers. If you're gonna use the TV speakers, rest assured they're plenty loud. You're gonna be able to hear it, even in a room with some people talking or some road noise outside. It's just the quality. If you want a little bit better audio quality, then you're gonna wanna get some additional speakers. For me, at some point, I'd like to get a better sound system with a bass woofer because we're really big on watching movies and stuff. In fact, that's one of the things that we do as a family together very often. So having a better sound system would be a good fit for us. All right, that completes going through the specifications. The things that I want you guys to know about the TV and this experience that I've had so far is the TV's very good quality, definitely very solid at 100 pounds. Moving it around is not gonna be easy. There's something else I wanted to talk about. The brightness of the display is adequate. I haven't gone into the settings to look at what options there are to brighten the display. Even though this room has 10 windows and there's plenty of light all over the place, the TV's plenty bright enough, I can see it well enough. So the other thing I want to talk about is the remote. There's a couple things that I want to mention. It has 4 predetermined buttons. It is Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime Video, and LG channels. I don't really use Disney Plus all the time, and I'm definitely not going to use LG channels. So 2 predetermined buttons are just a complete waste. I wish instead, or in addition to, they would include some programmable buttons. Or if they had to have these buttons, just at least also have buttons that are programmable so I could decide what it should launch. I know it's a little bit tricky with the technology that exists today. It is possible to do that, and it would make it a lot nicer. Most of the buttons are relatively the same size, and they don't really have any bumps that help in the dark for you to know which buttons are. The buttons also don't glow in the dark, so it makes it a little difficult to use the remote at night. I am able to reliably find the volume button because it's a long rectangular button and it has plus and minus raised areas. So that I could find, and then there's another button on the right-hand side that's a long rectangular button with an up and down arrow that's like a raised area. So those are helpful, but the rest of the buttons are pretty much uniform in a grid pattern and relatively the same size, so it's really hard to use the remote control at night. With time, I'll get used to the orientation. So I would appreciate to have some tactile patterns or dots on the buttons that help me orient myself as to what the buttons are. Just like all TVs are doing today, this is HDR10 log gamma, so it can do your HDR content. HDR content to me is a little gimmicky. You can actually do HDR type things from the TV, from the streaming system. If a TV doesn't have HDR, I've never worried about that because I can hook up a computer and I could control the display that way and get the HDR output that I want. Also, HDR is not all made equal, so sometimes you do some HDR options on the TV and it looks terrible. I tend to prefer to just leave it how the director output the content and how they want it viewed, and just control the light settings of the TV to be a neutral setting so that when I'm watching all my content, it looks as they intended it to look. This TV says it comes with Fresh Sync Premium, a variable refresh rate system. There's some technology here that will create the in-between frames. Those are not all created equal. Some do a better job than others. From what I've seen in reviews, this does a pretty good job at that. And this also has upscaling. So if you're watching 1080p content, it will up-res it and it will look better than just pure 1080p content. That I am okay with. If it starts looking really funky or something like that, I'll see if I could turn off that feature. It says this unit is compatible with media players, so that means you could take a flash drive, hook it up to one of the USB ports in the back, and it'll play MP3s, MP4s, and a bunch of other video formats that you might have. That's a really old school thing that I used to do many, many years ago. I haven't really had to do it in a long time, but it might be cool if I have some family movies or something like that. Plug in the flash drive and watch it with the family. I'm curious to see what the transfer speed is on the USB port, because if you have some really heavy files, maybe it'll struggle, not sure. It comes with a TV tuner, the ATSC QQuam TV tuner. I haven't used a TV tuner in so long, I don't know what any of those are about anymore. And I know that nobody's broadcasting 4K content, so for me, I'm sticking with all the streaming apps. So I haven't needed an antenna for a long time, but it does come with an antenna, and I'm assuming it's a pretty good one. All right, that wraps it up on my review of the 86-inch LG TV. It's really good so far. We're really happy with it. It's only been 2 days, but over time, we'll learn more and more about it. Maybe I'll do a follow-up review if I learn some things that I want you guys to know. I'm just amazed that for 999 bucks, you can get a TV this size, this quality, with all the features that this one includes. It's just amazing what has happened. When my wife and I got married 16 years ago, we bought a 32-inch TV for $750 on sale. To buy an 86-inch TV now, more than quadruple the real estate and 6 times the resolution or something, because that was 1280 by 720 display. It's just unbelievable where we've come. The price has come down and the technology has gotten better and better. I'm really excited to see what the future holds. And personally, I can't wait till I can buy a 120-inch display for 500 bucks. We'll catch you guys next time.